how to debug your automation. In this video, I'm going to take you through a few methods to show you how to effectively debug your automation. I'm going to talk you through error messaging, observing your run, using a display message to console log your data, and our very minimal at the moment debugger. So, first up, let's talk about the error message. Now, I'm going to open up Axiom. Now, I've already got an error message triggered. Axiom, by the way, will stop a run when it hits an error, and it will then flag a message, which, if you want to debug effectively, you should read and understand. So there's important messaging contained within the error message. So let's decode this one. Error in step 3, very straightforward. That tells us which step the error is in. And I've got step 1, 2, and there 3 expanded. Now it's an enter text step, and the problem was it couldn't find the element during run. So when the bot run, that tells me it was trying to interact with most likely an input, because it's an enter text step, but it couldn't find it. So what's the solution? It tells me to please reselect the element or use a custom selector. So I know I need to go back to the page where I selected the element from, and I need to reselect that element. And if that fails, use a custom selector. So that's why it's important to make sure you read your error messages, because they will tell you where the problem is and how to solve it. So it's an important part of debugging. Next up, let's look at observing the run and how that can help us understand where an error is occurring. So let's observe the run after we fixed our initial error, so we can then see what's happening. So it advised me to reselect the field, so I'm going to do that. It was the third field I was entering, email. Now I'm ready to run my bot again. So I'm going to click run, I'm going to run it on the desktop, and I'm going to watch what happens. Now, I appreciate watching a long run can be difficult, but when they're short, let's observe. So I want to see my name go in. Yes, email's gone in, but the bot seems to have stopped there. It should next be adding some data into a shipping address. And I can also see it didn't, from watching the run, I can see it didn't enter the last name, which I wanted to do. So something's going on. The bot's going to wait a little while, and the reason why it pauses here, it's just going to retry. We have an algorithm built in Axiom to retry and find the element. But don't worry about runtime being used, because we don't count failed runs, and that's just thrown an error. The run is failed and the runtime isn't counted. So I did observe that in step 4 nothing has entered, so I'm going to presume, without reading the error message, that it confirms it as well, but I need to reselect that element as well. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. But I also noticed in the run that there was no surname added, because I didn't add a step to do that. So let's quickly do that. And select field for the last name. Now, things you may notice in a run are that buttons get, the wrong button is clicked, or the order of the fields isn't correct. And those can help inform you what's gone wrong with your automation, or the wrong data is input into a field, for example, and what you need to fix. So that's why observing runs is really important. And when customers get in touch with us for support, we ask them to record their runs. And we will be adding a feature to automatically record runs, obviously at the customer's discretion. We won't do that without any permission or without a setting being put on. Now, and of course, not for AI data. I'm going to press complete. I've observed my run. I'm going to run the bot again. And hopefully we fix those two issues so I can carry on building the rest of my automation. All from observing the run. And there we go, all done. Good stuff. Okay, to highlight the usefulness of display messaging, I've just jumped into a new automation here, Instagram DMs automation. Now, display messaging is to be used could be used like console logging to debug your automation. Now, console logging is essentially what programmers do to check that data as it goes through their program is in the condition they want it to be in, or if it's not, they can identify where an issue is occurring. And we can do that in Axiom through display messaging. We can basically output in our window data, and we can check that the data is there, that it hasn't mutated into a state that we don't want. So for the sake of just demoing this feature, we're going to check this go to page step, check the URL we're passing from the Google Sheet is what we want. So I'm going to add a display message just by typing this in the Finder. And I'm just going to type URL hyphen. I'm going to insert some data from the Google Sheet and pass the URL. Now, we also have an if condition, and we scrape some data for that if condition. Now, I can see from the preview that we're getting some text from here, but sometimes there's a disparity between what we get in the previews from the window that we're building the automation to the window that we run it in. So it can be helpful to make sure we output that data in the display message, because the display message comes from runtime, so as the bot is executing, not from the build when it's preview data. So I'm going to add another display message. This time it's scrape hyphen, and I'm going to insert the scrape data and press save. Now, I know the preview generates, as I mentioned, the text, but I just want to make sure that when we run it for real, it's also generating that text. So I'm going to click run. You should see Axiom open up, and we should see a message appear in the window, and this is our first display message. I'm going to press OK. The bot will then continue to execute the next steps until we get to the next display message. It's just scraping the data now. So we should see another display message pop up. Here it goes. I'm looking for the word message in there. I can see the text is there. Cool. So I know my automation and my logic will work. And that's how you can use display message to help you debug and understand what's going on inside your bot. Finally, Axiom does feature a debugger. You would have noticed that in the error messages there is a button that says debug that you can click, and also on our vertical menu on the left hand side, the bar, you can also open the debugger. I'm going to click in the option to open the debugger here. Now, in all honesty, the debugger feature is not complete. We are working on it, and it's lacking the core features that all debuggers should have. For example, you should be able to play, pause, and stop your automation to help you debug it properly. And those features are coming. But for now, I'll take you through the features that do exist. So the debugger will open on the error that has occurred. It will try and explain to you the context of the error and how to fix it. It also has one interesting feature for the moment that you may find useful, is that you can ignore errors and turn on an option to continue on error. And so when the bot runs, it will just ignore them, keep going and complete. You'll also see an option just to show the errors there and not all the steps. That's the debugger for now. Like I said, we are going to be enhancing that and releasing an updated version of it very soon, so keep watching. I hope the debugging overview has been useful and that it'll help you better understand how to get your automations working. Thank you.